Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. This is Shirley with Spirit of Matter with actually a really cool video and lighthearted. I know my visuals are kind of weird, but let's just roll with this. I mean, the moon was just crossing Uranus, so let's just roll with this. And I'm going to analyze the election for Beyonce dropping her second album, The Best I Can. And this is just an astrological analysis of an astrological election. So this is a Venus day where I'm at. Likely to have been a moon hour for Beyonce when she dropped it. I'm not sure. I don't know where she at. And for elections, you, as far as I know, you take the place that you are physically at. So if I'm dropping, an election, so right now this is lunar hour where I am at, and I'm making this video on the Venus day lunar hour. So we basically have been watching the moon crossing over Beyonce's moon. So she was having a lunar return. She's a moon in Scorpio, conjuncting Uranus. And she was playing on a moon-Uranus cycle, okay, also for the entire Renaissance. This particular drop, the moon was crossing over and releasing from an opposition to Uranus, with Jupiter applying to Uranus. So the moon is still in aspect with Jupiter, okay? Uranus is in Taurus. Why does that matter? First of all, you want to watch my Uranus moon conjunctions video to get a clearer sight. So Beyonce holds in her natal chart, I don't have her exact ascendant, so I don't have her Navamsha, which is kind of like the later chart. And when she holds a moon Uranus hard aspect to her chart, we saw her wearing silver. This is both in par with kind of like space colors, kind of Uranus colors, but also silver, which is the color of the moon. And I think Hell was Astro for pointing that out. I thought it was just Uranus. So her little moon remediation, working with the moon. Moon is falling in Scorpio, but amping it up and giving it some shine allows her to harvest on the uniqueness of the moon Uranus, which basically means you relate in an unusual way and you are emotionally tapped in to kind of like timelines of massive evolution, massive revolutions, also social movements and stuff like that. So we've seen how what it was with the Black Lives Matters. Doesn't matter whether you agree with this or not. Uranus is not about agreeing with something. It's just going to shake up the pot big time. That's what it came here to do, to liberate the discourse. So your disagreement is as welcomed, because one can learn and grow with this. And so on her election, she capitalizes on the cycles of Moon and Uranus, okay? So you wouldn't normally have a moon in Scorpio for an election, but you have to understand your elections have to be compatible with your chart. If you would put moon in like Taurus, which I think for the Renaissance she did, that would mean that this moon is opposing her own moon, okay? It doesn't mean that she couldn't work with that, but it would also be opposing her Uranus, and this is where the energy is coming from. Her is capitalizing on a moon Uranus. We are also before eclipses, and she's also capitalizing on pretty much the last days. Before April 2nd, we have the last days where all planets are direct, so she's harvesting on the all planets are direct, by taking enough space from the first act, which is the Renaissance album. So this is a very intelligent thing to do, because if you would release it like a couple of months ago, we saw 2 songs being released. It was a very interesting choice for release date. Things could go viral or missing. It's Beyonce, they went viral. And I had a very cosmic experience. It was something that capitalizes on Neptune. I just don't remember the election. And I had a very cosmic experience. I suddenly began to, do stuff, which was very unexpected from me. And that was when Mars was at its exaltation in Capricorn. Okay, so that was when she dropped the 2 songs. She capitalized on that Mars. Now she released the entire album. So it's her lunar return, around her lunar return. The moon is decreasing. So basically it's a waning moon. which means that usually we don't want to release something on that that we want to grow. However, last days of Planets Going Direct needed enough space from Renaissance album to the second act and harvesting on the Moon Uranus natal chart, okay, Rasi or natal chart print that she has with the Moon conjunct Uranus. So she plays on that. She drops it. I think it is also a Venus day for the viewers, or a Jupiter day. Either a Jupiter day, it's very likely a Moon hour, or even a Mars hour, because she's okay with, the Mars is the ruler for her Moon, and Mars is also creating controversies, very much welcomed and desired for Uranus. So this is the first part. Okay, Moon is releasing from opposition to Uranus, still in orbit opposition to Jupiter in Taurus. Jupiter in Taurus approaching Uranus already in effect. And so this is a big, giant thing that's going to be revolutionary. And we got Saturn sextiling to this Jupiter in Taurus. Okay, so whether she did it on a Jupiter day, which would bring in that Jupiter energy. And you must understand, usually is a ritual before a release, so it's probably something she's doing with herself, or a ritual that was embedded to the videos, kind of sets off as she releases. And so she did announce this release, so it's kind of like unusual for her to do so. She also had all the lyric videos, very much, I guess, felt the ground with the Renaissance album, and came up with something that's more colored, that is a quasi-visual, so she wouldn't get like the backlash she got for the previous album. And she was more prepared. Okay, she dropped something, just dropped a couple of months ago, or a while ago, and then set the tone for, like, you want to be there, so people will actually be there. Kind of like, if you remember, back in the days where we would have, text chats with kind of like celebrities, and they would announce that, and everybody would all, stay until 4 a.m. or so, to stay awake to watch this or to come to this. I guess you wanted to capitalize on that effect. Okay, bring in something from back in the days, which is what Uranus does. Bring in something from back in the days, celebrating various timelines, and something's a bit futuristic and bringing it in together. So Saturn is a plan to sextile this Jupiter on Taurus, which is great because Saturn gives us longevity. Not only Uranus gives us longevity. Uranus is kind of unexpected. Uranus is where, if you remember the Renaissance album, the Balenciaga scandal came in, and she was like, celebrating this in her lyrics. Erykah Badu kind of slandered her, occultist practice, and she was like, paying reverence to Badu, like Badu on her lives. The Khalees fiasco, and whichever way you look at it, there are a lot of controversies. It's a part of the Uranus thing. Saturn sextile in Jupiter has given us a bit more of a sombre sextile. Is going to be long-term effect to this. Is gonna, and if you notice, some of the albums, at least for me, some of them were something that grows on you. So kind of like you listen to the first thing, it's kind of like, okay, it looks nice, it looks different, and then it catches up to you. So it grows, and you come back to listen again. This duration is a part of the future of outer planets, by the way, and this is also where it's unexpected. Okay, it has a Uranus quality to it that actually gives us the kind of like the umami taste of that little sting that you come back to, and it kind of keeps you hooked, keeps you addicted, keeps you listening time and time again. So she's doing it right, okay? Both on the election, the astrological election, and of course the style, the talent for music, and the capitalizing on various genre and incredibly talented people, mostly giving reverence, and helping even people to discover genres that they were not listening to. whether by time, by marginalized. So this is what she is liked for, and she's doing it right. Mostly, I mean, everybody has, you know, their own scandals. You can't be on this much of limelight without having your, very public. If you make mistakes like huge public, you can't ignore this, and so on. Those are the things. And we have a little bit of a mystic rectangle if we include Lilith. So Lilith in still Virgo. She's still in Virgo? Okay, she's still in Virgo. That would be trining Uranus. We got Lilith in 19 degrees Virgo, trining Uranus in 20 degrees Taurus. And this is lovely because Lilith is just this. First of all, Lilith in Virgo is playing along the sun of Beyonce. So again, referring how the astrological election is compatible with the natal chart of the native. Okay, when I was dropping my kind of like invisible, sketch on the Mars exalted, that was very much in alignment for me because that Mars was doing things squared my natal Mercury and going over my lot of food. It was fated for me to do this. Okay, it's a Neptune thing. It's kind of like a decade from now, somebody could pull it off. Okay, it's not a Uranus thing. Uranus is unexpected. It could go up, could go down. It was a lot quicker than like Pluto and Neptune. And Neptune is kind of like, oh, you wrote something a decade ago and suddenly, there's something, it takes a life form of its own. I don't know how much I expanded on water expands upon cooling. Is a very Neptune thing, and stuff are gonna happen with that. Okay, there's no cases called for us. We got enough people with the people. So that is another kind of like that's what's up. So Lilith is an archetype of kind of like the gut erotic instinct, which is playing on Beyonce's sun. So this is very much in alignment for Beyonce to draw up a very erotic, very Lilith kind of persona, which is a part of the kind of archetypes that she personifies, and this being in a harmonious aspect to Uranus. So this unexpected eroticism, unexpected sexual allure right at this time that comes into play, and this is good election. Okay, this all comes together with the moon in Scorpio, and yes, the moon is in Scorpio, but this Lilith is sextile, so the moon is getting a lot of support when you think about it holistically, and with Beyonce capitalizing on the silver. Her hair tying blonde is kind of like applying to the moon colors. Okay, so it's not like trying to do it like whatever people would think about. If you don't know astrology, you would not see that. Okay, you would just go like, why is she looking like a Kardashian? She's not looking like a Kardashian. She's remedying her own moon and going with the moon colors. And you see she's feeling more comfortable in her skin. She looks glowing. She looks happier mostly, and that's what you do. That's what happens when you have a moon remediation. So this moon would be also trining Venus. Okay, Venus is in Pisces. Venus is invisible in Pisces. However, so Venus invisible does not give us like the gold, the riches, the great food. It doesn't mean that she can't. It's just mean that's not what she naturally does when we apply to with the wisdom of Venus. Venus gives us more the philosophical wisdom. So when you want to create an iconic, mythical quality album, which is what she's basically making an industry of, the type of genius that she and her team has, but also the type of charts. And this is where you would want to capitalize even on that invisible Venus to create a mythical Venusian. So talk about the voice, so the mythical a combination of genres, which Beyonce is famous for, that give us a unique sound and give us a mythical quality. Okay, it's also the setting. This is not a country album. This is a Beyonce album. It's not just to silence criticism. It's just to build a persona, which she's been doing since she was 3 years old. So Again, we have this mystic rectangle in the sky, amping up kind of a psychic or mythical thing that is again in trine relations to the moon, and trine and sextile. Lilith is sextiling Beyonce's moon right now in transit, and Venus is trining it. Okay, as Venus is also the ruler of the Jupiter-Uranus, which is now sextiling Uranus. So Beyonce was capitalizing on the Venus-Uranus sextile. And this was way set, way prepared. She was waiting for this election. And I think it came out great. It sounds like, a great album. And very likely, everybody's going to go crazy over it and Beyonce-fy this genre, which is lovely. It's lovely to see that. And it's also, given a lot of ideas. Imagine people doing that without the Peter rings. It's like kind of like, I'm gonna drop, I'm gonna drop it. So imagine what music we will have without the Peter rings. Imagine what amazing inspiration, and amazing connection to all the various, deities and cosmics and cultures and genres we would have without the Peter rings, without those, okay? All my Aquarian stars, the sky is looking at you. The sky is looking at you. And yeah, it's something I've been building up. It's something I've been dreaming with action. It's something that's happening. And with Aquarius, this is also related to real life action in the real world. It's very Saturn. It's a very Saturn. It's an air sign, but it's a Saturn. It's a Carnadian sign. And it's not just singing about it, it's singing about it while you're doing it. And what you're doing is something is transforming, it's purifying the cosmic nervous system. So I'm definitely, harvesting on that. Not so low-key. And as per Beyonce, she is capitalizing kind of like the culmination of the Pluto Capricorn and the delving into the Pluto Aquarius. So of course she would capitalize on the Uranus, which she has closer to her chart, rather than the Pluto. But the moon is closer to sextile Pluto than to square Pluto, so it's just her lunar return. Anything more I have to say about this chart? Venus is applying to Neptune, so we're going to have a viral Venus. Again, the Jupiter-Uranus and the Venus-Neptune are not conjunct. First of all, the conjunction is a hard aspect, but it's definitely a closure of something. It's a decreasing moon chart. Okay, some things you can't change. It's not a growing moon chart. It's a decreasing moon chart. But it's definitely a closure. This album, she said, was a closure experience for her for when she recorded, I think it was 2015. She did that Daddy song, something like that. And she didn't have a good experience with kind of like the country community. So she decided to have a closure. This is a good election for an album that has a closure for an experience. Absolutely great closures we've seen there. All type of form. Okay, if you look at my videos yesterday, like you've seen it. Okay, I literally, when I was doing, the Me Too satire, the Sugar-Free Lemonade, it was kind of like there was this kind of like playing on the Lemonade and album, because that came out at the same time, so it was kind of like that was relevant. But no money changed hand. It was not about that. The lobsters. I had a lobster's omen. I did not know Beyonce's going to release another album. I had a lobster's omen. If you know that from the song yesterday. So V for Vanu. So that was kind of like my rejoicing. Then I come up and wake up in the morning. It's like, oh, Beyonce's dropping an album. And I'm like, okay, let's take a look at the election. Because you know me, I'm not Beyonce. I act first and analyze it later. And sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, that was a genius election. I could have never, It's like, it just happened. which I love. But for Beyonce, things don't just happen. She orchestrates everything ahead of time, decades ahead of time even. And so it's like, oh, the Beyonce's dropping it out. Well, okay, that was good. That was a good election. You know, if Beyonce capitalized on that election, I was feeling something correctly, and I would be sleeping when that would drop. So this is just analyzing this election. How did the elections of yesterday would target my chart? I got Jupiter on my freaking sun. Like, I don't even think it needs more. Neptune and Venus are kind of like engulfing my ascendant. And so so that would be that. And it's more like an inner celebration, whether it goes to the outer world or not. It's kind of like an inner celebration. The closure feelings, okay? There's Venus coming into terms with Neptune. Jupiter is also closing a cycle with Uranus. So think about the last time Jupiter and Uranus were conjuncting. We're having closure to that. And I was looking at Vanunu's chart, which has a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction with Mars opposing Uranus. And that was like, ooh. We have a closure to that. So everybody in their own field that had something that is kind of related to the elections of yesterday and of today. Yesterday was a lunar chart for me, for where I'm at. So big closures, big wins, okay? And wins not like, whatever, I don't want to... I'm not gonna bash anyone, but genuine win over that which is light, over that which is the story of the fears. And this is a great election for Beyonce to have a closure experience with. It's like, it's not a country. This is a Beyonce album, which is lovely, which is a great, both reclaiming, country from its Black roots. Country is a Black music genre originally. That's what's up. See, don't shoot the messenger. They're great white people who sing country, great country songs. I love country. I grew up in a house that loves country, that loves the South, and love folk music. And I grew up on liedermaching and on country. Can't say that I know everything in country, but it's like, cool. Country is a Black genre. It is a Black genre. Country is a Black genre. Okay? That's what's up. So it's a great time to have this closure experience of kind of like, hey, a country is a Black genre, but you could capitalize it and you're like, no, it's not a country album. It's a Beyonce album. Big F y'all. Which is a great thing to do. Very intelligent and a very big closure for her experience, kind of like being a Black artist, singing a Black genre of music, being so unwelcomed and ostracized in the community where she experienced back then, and kind of taking it back and saying, no, I want to have a better experience, and this was a great time to do those things. So to have a win, it's not about demoting anybody. It's about celebrating yourself. Like you said, this is a Beyonce album. And like I yesterday said, V for Vanunu. I live in Israel. V for Vanunu. That's what's up. And D for denuclearification. So that's my D-Day. So that is a great election to do things. I think we are still in the window of time. So if you want something, if you need to have a certain closure, okay, Venus is closing a synodic cycle with Neptune. She's releasing from Saturn. The moon was releasing from besiegement when it crossed, Saturn. You saw my celebration time, come on. And Jupiter is closing a cycle with Uranus. You want to think to the last Jupiter-Uranus, or to previous Jupiter-Uranus cycles, like I did with celebrating Vanunu chart yesterday. And you want to think about, it's going to be happening naturally if your chart is aligned with that. I got both my sun and my ascendant aligned with that. then this is very much in alignment for you to have. It doesn't mean you're gonna drop, This Is a Beyonce album. Okay, I definitely just made two humble videos about my own experiences. But it does mean that you're gonna have your own closure. It could be like your seventh house, it could be with some relational issues, your eighth house, some old trauma issues coming to a lot of our big wealth experiences are not necessarily the ones that you celebrate on stage. Not everybody is a public figure. It doesn't mean you don't get to live a rich life and to have these rich closures around those themes. And sometimes this can be your theme, So big eurekas, big closure, big wisdoms, and big chances to have an experience, especially with the Chiron in the background, to have an experience where you get to win. Okay, you get to win. It's not to win over something. It's kind of like, it's not to oppress anybody. And this is also, what is a win? What is winning? Okay, winning is about the I am. I want you to look at this experience of kind of like Beyonce feeling ostracized in the country community, being a black singer, your country is black, and coming to, this is not a country album, this is a Beyonce album. Okay, this is winning. This is winning. In Chiron Aries, the winning is the I am. Remember what I said yesterday? Rape is not liberation. It's not about the oppressor. Who you are without the oppressor. Okay, so redefine yourself. You get to define yourself for who you are. Nobody gets to define you. Not a doctor, not a priest, not an astrologer. Not an astrologer, not a society, not your parents. You alone define who you are. Okay, that is the win. I don't define who I am. I am safe. I am free. I am. And that's what it's about. So this is, okay, a win. It's just to get to define yourself for who you are, and to have that I am, whether you state it outside or not. Okay, it's an internal experience. For some of you, it's not even going to be like out in the news. It's an internal experience where you get this I am. So, or we are, you have multiple identity parts and so on. So it's also redefining winning. Winning is not about demoting other people. It's not about humiliating it. It's not about the other people. Okay, it's not, winning is not about, this is a very Aries notion. Aries doesn't compete other people. Aries is setting a new standard to themselves, and redefining themselves. This is Aries. This is who they're winning. This is why there's none to them, because everybody is genuinely unique. Okay, so this is also what those wins are about, and we're gonna see people winning, or we're gonna not see people winning, and they're still gonna be winning, because some of people, many people are fighting kind of like an internal battle, and it's, getting to have your own I am. Nobody gets to define you. So this is a great still window of election to capitalize on. I know the moon is in Scorpio, and right now it's in a very lethal degree in Scorpio. And as always, I know what I'm commemorating, whereas that Scorpio degree is my Mars, but it's also a famous degree in Scorpio that relates to people who are activists in uncovering the essence of certain truths to do with letalities. So all across the board. And April 2nd, we're going to have the planets beginning to go retrograde. So Mercury, I believe, is already Mercury is in its shade period, well into its shade period. So we're going to have rewriting, rephrasing messages, things coming up, having to edit things. But you got to remember, Mercury will not be conjuncting with Rahu again. Big deal, big thing to remember, because it means Mercury almost gets to rewrite that which everybody wants you to withdraw back, and then boom, okay? It's kind of like the sugar-free lemonade, where I was taking all of the posts that they wanted me to take off the internet, and then I wrote a freaking satire, okay? Or I was taking all of the satire that I wrote on the internet, and then many things dropped along a cycle of 8 years of a Venus cycle, and then Flying Bombardier would drop during 7th of October. So, like, we're going to take it beyond gender, beyond nationality. It was like, it's not a gender thing. It never was a gender thing. We're going to take it beyond the things. We're going to go to the essence of things. And we're going to treat, we're going to talk from Viva Vanunu to abolishing expendable children, to abolishing medical welfare. And I got it from the academic to the satire to the everything. Okay? And I'm absolutely not the only one. So that's what's up. So everybody has their own closure experiences, winning experiences that are happening now. Mercury is already in a shape period, and right now you want to understand that if you're going to be asked to hold things back to this, to that, Mercury is not touching on Rahu again. So what they want you to take back, that you're not supposed to take back, you might even have like people erasing stuff and then coming up with even more I am stuff, like Beyonce, because she was recording daddy songs, and then it's kind of like felt undesired at the country scene, and then she made an entire album saying this is not a country album, this is a Beyonce album, okay? And we're gonna have a minuscule of that, this giant scale of that, around this Mercury retrograde. So if you're expecting people to take back their truths, or to withdraw from their truths, when it's actually true, and it is, it's Aries, Mercury is Aries, it's true time, when you expect people to withdraw back their truths, prepare for them to be even more explicit. So I would be incredibly cautious of trying to silence anybody's truth this time. This ain't the time to do this. Dead or alive, no cases called for us. Water expands upon cooling. Some people will come and tell the truth even when they dead, okay? I would not mess with trying to silence anybody's truth, including your own. Okay, this is where we're before the eclipse time, where kind of like the story, and I refer to a lot of here, the story of Nineveh, which basically is God told the prophet, hey, warn this city, and this person, what is a prophet? Is a person. And this person was like, the fuck, well, they're not going to listen to me. Bible story by a secular person. The fuck, they're not going to listen to me. So guys, you got to do it. And then, some whale swallows this person and then drops them on the shore of that city, of the Nineveh. And they're like, okay, I got to do it. Please don't shoot the messenger. God says you guys need to repent. And they repented. So it was not like Sodom and Gomorrah, where kind of like before the 7th of October, I felt strongly the Sodom and Gomorrah. And I don't even know, like, what does that relate to? It's just like Aries square Pluto was kind of like, it's kind of like the story where kind of like, you go look for everybody and see if you see a saint. And Pluto's like, we got to look for the saints. We got to look for the saints. Don't just kill them all. It's like, you're going to have, Aries like, I'm going to have a big I told you so in 3, 2, 1. And Pluto is kind of looking for, but here. It doesn't find a saint. And then we get 2030 coming to the Middle East. So that was what's up. And of course, it's not, it's not about the children or the victims, or it's not about that. It's more like the bigger story where they didn't find a saint in Sodom and Gomorrah. It's not about it's not one-on-one analogy on like We the People. I hope you kind of get that. It's more like the disaster was not averted or avoided in that case. And we literally had veterans trying to warn us. We had the watchers, the women trying, in the IDF trying to warn us. We had people receiving stuff, and they were all considered crazy, silenced. They were silenced, they were pressed from high orders up. And then this disaster was not aborted, which is terrible. But now we get the story for Nineveh. Nineveh did repent, okay? This disaster was aborted. If you turn to Procyon, to Andromeda, if you ask for insights, whatever it is whichever Nineveh is, this is a disaster that can absolutely be aborted, and it's up to kind of like you have kind of like people have more. It's fated for people to have more agency, if I get the spirit of this eclipse correctly, in their hand. And so a lot of people have closure experience where they're winning because they redefine themselves. They have the I am. Rahu is where it's at, but Mercury is not going to touch on Rahu again. Mercury is going to go retrograde. You're going to touch on Chiron. I believe it's going to touch on Chiron, but it's not going to touch on Rahu. What it tells me is that people are going to readdress the wounds about speaking up and stating the I am. And not only are they not going to withdraw back, but they're going to tackle these wounds, and they're going to be even more explicit in their truth. Do not try to silence truth now. No time to do so. This is the time of truth. This is the time of truth. This is the time of truth that is authentic to the I am. Do not even try to repress or silence your own voice. Sometimes we do this to ourselves. Okay, it's only going to come up bigger, better, more explicit. And if you're kind of like terrified of speaking up, you're going to be speaking up even more so than you know. Like you could watch my videos. Somebody would tell me I would be saying these things. You know, even my mama, she said, write a book. What did she saw? But what I'm beginning to talk about is don't try it. Don't try it. I don't want you to experience what I had. Okay, that's what's up. So this is not the time where you can not write, not speak, not stand for your truth. It's fated for you to speak the F up. Mercury's messages. This is a time of truth. And there is a Chiron, so you're readdressing the wounds around speaking up. And a lot of us are fated to be incredibly courageous. And I would not try to be involved in any act of silencing anybody's truth, okay? Disobey. You don't want your name, because your name is going to be held accountable. Okay? We're in Pluto Aquarius. This is the way you do security for Pluto Aquarius is open source systems. Okay? You don't want your name on the network that is exposed, that tried to avert this algorithm, that tried to shadow ban these people. Like we're going to be exposing the shadow banners. And I'm saying it's like we the people. It's not like I do it. I'm not a hacker or anything like that. It's like we the people, we're going to be exposing the shadow banners. That's what's up. So you don't want your name on those who are silencing we the people. It's we the people you're dealing with. You don't want your name. You don't want your IP. Okay, it's not your IP, because your IP can be hacked into, but it's more like psychically, energetically, you don't want your frequency. When people do return to sender, like to the genuine sender, it's like do this to the genuine sender. Also, when you do return to sender, you don't want to be the genuine sender. You don't want to be on the line of the people who willingly obeyed an illegal order regarding silencing of the truth. I cannot stress this any further. You know, it's a nuclear eclipse, but it's also an eclipse where not only will the truth not be taken back or silenced, but people will be more explicit. There are many people who are who are older than 50, okay? So those people, like if the young people won't speak up because they're within the Chiron cycle, the older people, they're like, no. We had this during the atomic veterans. We had it in the oil crisis of 73. We had it in the kidnapping of the children, whether of Yemen or others. We're gonna speak the F up. We're gonna blow up the city center. We're gonna speak the F up. We're gonna put the truth out. We're gonna take the shadow banning and, you know, Neptune, Venus, Neptune. Okay, it's like, that's what's up. So you've been genuinely shadow banned, not like, hey, I'm shadow banned, and you got millions of viewers, and you're spreading, I don't know, really weird stigmas on people. That's, you're not shadow banned. You're just like caught up in some, agenda. But if you're just like genuine people, it would not be a good time. And even if, let's say, the younger people, the younger generation, people below 50, okay, I'm below 50. Even if those people kind of like don't get to speak, the older generation, those who have already had a Chiron cycle, they might like, they will speak, they will stand for the truth like never before, especially now, okay? They will stand for the truth like never before. And we are in the days of Pluto Aquarius. Okay, we're not in the days of Pluto Libra. We are not in the days of Pluto Virgo. We are not even in the days of Pluto Scorpio. We're in the days of Pluto Aquarius. This is Pluto in an air sign. The birthing process with regarding to an air sign is it's not going to be necessarily something that is going to wait 300 years to be revealed, or even 3 weeks, which is very beautiful. I refer again to Lada, talking about Pluto in Aquarius and the energy of Aquarius, which is kind of like you're dealing with consecutive things, consecutive Pluto things, but kind of like you're dealing it, you find a solution, you expose, you're done with it, and so on and so forth. This is the time we are at, okay? And of course, we are in between Pluto going back to Capricorn. So yes, this is a light video. This is absolutely, but it's also times where we are about to go to Pluto Capricorn again. And my prediction is the expandable children. We already, I talked about like literally graffiti of MK Ultra with penis images on in like central cities. And again, you gotta understand, if you're gonna be staying in your, oh, this happens to Israel because Israel is Nazi, and no, darling, it's happening in every city. They're just putting this in the countries that you would the least like, and make you least like this country, so that you would be okay with that. Just like you're doing stuff to Israelis that they are, kind of asked to be okay with. But you know what I mean? It's like, pay attention. This is where you have to pay attention. What is done? It's not to whom it's done, and they put in the oppression narrative. And I want to give big shout out and big reverence to Cameron Allen, okay, fellow astrologer, and holistic health practitioner, and the notion of going beyond narratives of colonialism and oppressed and oppressee, it's not about lack of acknowledgement of a reality of power relations. It's about getting at the essence and rooting for yourself to go beyond the narrative of oppressor. It's not about, releasing yourself from trauma is not about perpetuating trauma. It's about, just like coming again to Beyonce, this is not a country album. this is a Beyonce album. She's gonna make her name, her I am, bigger in the face of the oppression or the exclusion or the horrid experiences that it was to be like, treated in this way. Again, whatever you think about, Beyonce, this is just a human experience of kind of like a Black artist coming to white community and feeling ostracized, singing a genre that was originally Black. Okay, so this is how she reclaimed that. And this is also how you go beyond colonialism, beyond the oppressor oppressee, because this is playing on your psyche in a way where if you don't identify that, you're just going to be keeping in the cycles of oppression and being oppressed. And we're fated to break through from that. Okay? So war is not supposed to last forever. We're fated to break through from that. And you do this by reclaiming the I am. Okay, you do this by having like, this is a Beyonce album. It's not a country album. This is a Beyonce album. Okay, you're gonna have your own I am around this. Okay, and this is going back from going out of being responsive. This is, for me, it's to grow forests, not nukes, grow forests, not hatred. But it got the science to back it up. It got the strategy to back it up. It got the action to base the body, heart, mind, soul, and psyche on a personal and interpersonal level. It got areas like the bow and the arrow releasing, and that's what's up. But this bow and arrow were stretched for 4 decades. So this is where it is release time, and around the Pluto Capricorn, we can expect that, final level of exposure, whether it's the elite, whether it's this, whether it's that. If you take a narrative of a nationality, a particular religion, a particular place of origin, a particular bloodline, and you tie it into the truth, you're not in the truth. Aries is finishing up 2 decades. You don't want to spend the 2 decades of Aries in Aries, still caught up in eugenics, still caught up in genital mutilation under the guise of whatnot, and stuff like you just don't want to spend these next 2 decades still caught up in these things, or the creation of the Übermensch or the super soldier. You don't want to do that. Okay, what you want to do is have the I am being included, and this you do by stating the I am, and reclaiming, the I am. So Aries is still in square relations to Pluto. Okay, it's still learning from Pluto. It's exposing the soft underbelly of the hierarchical system, and taking into account that some people at the top of the pyramid were simply the marginalized. How does that happen? It's the way about that people are recruited to organized crime, basically. Okay, it's just like you take a person, and that person either has like a certain disability or has a certain difficulty to kind of blend into society, and then you give them a sense of belonging, and this is a part of like the cult thing. And instead of doing this in the light, instead of being genuinely inclusive of them, you put them in a situation where they have to sell their soul, where they have to give up the I am. This is basically, people we call like narcissistic, that this or that. They basically were put in a situation where they had to give up the I am for feeling included, and for being celebrated. They were like extremely celebrated, feeling included, and all you have to do is give up any sense of your identity, basically. Because I am is an action. This is a Mars-oriented action. If this Mars-oriented action has to do with violating the souls of people, then you're no longer in the I am. And that's the trick of how they recruited these people. So Aries knows that. And Pluto is kind of like, well, we need to expose this, we also need to expose the structure. How do they recruit these people? Why do they recruit these type of people? Why are there some type of people in all those intelligences and not others, whether it's atomic veterans, and listen to the people. It's out there. You can look for these interviews, whether it's MK Ultra survivors, whether it's ex spies or intelligence people worked for like the FBI, the CIA. They're giving interviews today. This is a time where it's already out in the open. They talk about the recruitment process. They were high achieving, but they did not really grow it like having nourishing love in a particular way. And then this high achievement turned into like you do whatever to get that win, and now you recruited for the CIA, especially if they came from marginalized societies. Then they were handpicked, and they would do anything. They were taught how to kill and so on and so forth, and they would have done everything. Usually they don't catch up with their own morals. When they do, they realize that the very reason that they were recruited was everything that was wrong with them in the eyes of society. But instead of being given genuine inclusivity and growing with love and respect and honor that would facilitate a retrieval of a moral compass. Okay, it has nothing to do with religion. Okay, then the basically the abuse that they were growing in, and I'm not saying this on purpose abuse, it's not like somebody on purpose abused them in their upbringing, and talking about like the direct family sometimes, but in many cases it's not even the case. It's more like broken families, kind of like the Pluto Virgo generation trying to raise babies. The early Pluto Virgo generation is kind of like, some of them are even second generation to like the wars, the Second World War, and there's just how it fathomed. Okay, people did not know what's emotional intelligence. People were dealing with things by repression, detachment, dissociation, and radical humor. Like Holocaust jokes. That's what's up. So you never really got to have, or people were overworking, and you never really got to have an emotional connection. And that went in various ways. So these people are highly recruitable, and they were recruitable for many sorts of things. So it was not happening when they were children, then it would be when they were adults, and they would be handpicked, and then it would get this kind of like high performer, high achiever, but completely without moral compass. And then people were like, oh, why do they betray their nations? They don't betray their nations. They just develop a moral compass in many cases. You can go from Snowden to Van Nuno. Okay, Assange is a bit different because I think he was not like an internal part of the system, too big from the beginning. And so these are not the people who threaten your world. When they, do the whistleblowing, they are the people who allowed this word to basically venture more into the direction of the light. So I also give reverence to the whistleblowers. And I heard the term dog whistle, the whistle. It's like, let's just concentrate on those people. If somebody worked in like an atomic structure and they're like leaking information, let's listen to what they got to say. Somebody was a veteran, okay, for the war, and they got something to say. Let's listen to what I have to say. Okay, these people that have been in this situation. Okay, somebody cannot get a job and keep it, and they're beginning to tell a certain thing that they've experienced that may be related to that. Let's just listen to what I have to say. This is how Ninveh painted. This is how, and again, you take it as a story, take it as an analogy, take it as an archetypal story. Okay, it's not about religion, but this is how we basically get to share information, purify our nervous system, and recover a sense of community and sense of trust that is based in having a rich, safe, joyous human experience, rather than having a devoid of humanity human experience where the trust is like, you committed that crime, what's the worst crime? Probably against children. And so we can extort you. If we don't like you, we just say, oh, hey, this person was a pedo. And then, of course, nobody wants to hear about them. And that's it. But if you weren't, you would not be recruited, you would not be picked, you would not be trusted, because people cannot extort you. Okay, we need to free the children. We need to free the people from being this trust card. That's what's up. So, and this also means that the children that people cannot get along with also could be susceptible to these things. So it's not only the children of like families that are broken, but also can be children kind of like, they don't seem to blend in. That can be the target of this, during a war. So yes, they break into a village, they kidnap people, but this is the extreme case. The everyday case is the cold cases, is water expands upon cooling. Okay, no cases cold for us. We the people, we got enough people, we the people, and this is what we need to remember. So and this is also where we the people are learning about things that are relevant to our times. They're going to allow us to tend to these things and to share information, to tend to these things, not like a raging mob that holds the flag of the cult leader, what's up, but like actual genuine people, and everybody has their own journey with that tends to things. So this is what we're scheduled to do. This is what we're scheduled to do. So yes, I hope this makes you a good day and have a nice Venus day where you're at, and good wins, good closures of defining yourself, because it's not about shaming, bashing, demoting, humiliating. It's about the I am and celebrating the I am. This is the win. So thank you. À tout à l'heure.